All right. Well, hello, everyone. Happy spring to those of you that have been waiting for spring to arrive. That's us. So it's finally here. The trees are starting to green up. Flowers, we just have phlox coming up. So you can kind of imagine how slow the spring is here in Colorado. We just actually had a massive snowstorm and, well, multiple days of storms in mountains. So we got nice rain and we're ready to welcome the spring. But I hope all of you are taking care of yourselves. If you're feeling allergies kicking in, you know where to look first, right? You got to look for your gut. So allergies are not mainly, most of the time, it's not about your sinuses. Sinus got some stuff to do with it, but you got to look at your gut lining. So take care of your small intestine ASAP. Start doing it now. So, things like L-glutamine is a good one, definitely. And let's maybe start talking immediately about what's been going on. So Chris just informed me right before we got on the call that we had another solar flare. So another solar storm that was what is it? X factor?
X class, I think is
X
what they
class,
call it.
X
Yeah.
class. Yeah. A giant one again, but it wasn't facing towards the earth. So it won't be impacting us as much as the ones that we just experienced. So that was incredible. Two really powerful solar flares, solar storms. We're going to be seeing this more and more this year. So, I don't know what you can or what us human beings can do to prepare, to be honest with you. I think this is when we are both feeling the awe and, oh, what am I supposed to do? It's like, oh no, and awe at the same time, because it's just so much more powerful, isn't it? What's happening in a cosmic level is so much more powerful than what we can do or control or try to mitigate. So I think basic needs, possibly you want to have some basic survival kit. Okay. I think that's not a bad thing to have some water, candles, some ways that you can communicate with people. We do have one of those cranking radios. What's that called, Chris?
I think it's a shortwave radio actually, but yeah, it's a hand crank so that it doesn't need any batteries or electricity.
Mm-hmm. So, I think it's not a bad idea to think slightly outside the box and then have some reserved. Okay. Just the basic things. Okay. Not to scare you or anything, but we are going to see a lot more solar storms this year into next year, probably next May, maybe spring, May, around that time. So, more chances to see some amazing night skies and other things that we're going to be experiencing, I think, body, mind, spirit wise too. So stay tuned. And for that, I think we have to also take care of our physiology, our basic, not just the needs that you have for surviving, water and all that I just mentioned, but having a very strong immune system, having a very strong body that can withstand this kind of this can be challenging to our nervous system and it can be challenging to our cellular level being. So it can mess up our mitochondria too, because my mitochondria is really, really sensitive to light, but energetic fields, EMFs, and anything like this, like solar flares. So, know that you want to be taking care of yourself daily, every day. Simple things like grounding yourself, getting sunlight, earthing, getting plenty of vitamin D for your northern hemisphere. This is the time, start accumulating some vitamin D3 in your system so you have it plenty to draw from in fall and winter months too. So, this is a great time of I think, lunar cycles as well. In terms of first quarter moon is when the moon is cut in half, basically split in half in terms of the light part and the dark part to assist many different things, the yin and yang, the right side of the body, left side of the body. What am I not balancing in my system? What's out of touch and out of harmony? Something that needs to come back together, and you look at yourself from kind of all angles, from the past experiences, future desires, what's here now, all those things really need to be looked at during the first quarter moon. And I have a little more to say, but I think maybe first, why don't we announce, Chris, the couple of things that we're doing so I can get my head back together in the first quarter moon again. But let's talk about the quick announcements about the 20% off on the Fullscript and when that's happening. Can you mention that?
Yeah, and I will put up some links in the chat after we do this. So for those of you that have not seen the email that came out just on Sunday, it came out and we had a little reminder for the reminder of today's call as well. But there's a 20% off sale that's running just today and tomorrow through Fullscript. So if you haven't seen that and you want to take advantage of that, it's a great time to stock up and get the things that you need. And another thing that we sent out to you was also a link of a video that we put together that reviews 24 of the supplements that not only are helpful ongoing, but especially during the summertime when we have the effects of heat and often busier than usual schedules or physical activities because of the warmer weather. So when we tend to be out around crowds and visiting people, traveling, that sort of thing. So we created a whole list of these 24 supplements, which are all going to be on sale during these 2 days. So you'll want to look at that video and also check out the sale. I'll put the link up. For those of you that have already set up an account, all you need to do is go to your account and you will be set. And for those of you that haven't, you can click the link that I'm going to put up now and use that to go ahead and sign up, and you can take advantage of this sale.
All right. And I decided that for those of you that have purchased from Zorex and or Fullscript in the last 2 months, I will be in touch with you, and because I want to do a special class for you to answer some of your supplement questions. So stay tuned to that. It might be more towards the end of this month or beginning of next month, but I will be reaching out to all of you that have purchased supplements through our Fullscript or through Zorex, just so that I can thank you and we can thank you and then answer some of your supplement questions as well. Okay, so then I wanted to kind of mention a couple of things about this year's opportunities. This is a lot of really amazing opportunities for us to look up into the sky, the nightly skies, because I think these solar flares are going to be teaching us to look up away from our phones, away from our TV screens, computer screens, and look up and be in awe. And I think that's a beautiful opportunity that we're getting right now this week as well. And when you can look up, there's so many things that changes physiologically, your posture changes as well, but it's very healing to our heart center to be able to look up in awe. And we can connect with our ancestors, because think about our ancestors and how they responded to things like this, right? This isn't something that just started happening in recent months. This has been going on in these cycles, the solar flare cycles that this earth has been experiencing as long as it's been here. So our ancestors have also experienced this too. So whenever you have the chance to put down your phones and put down all your other, modern technologies, let's say, and look up to the sky and see the great, big, awe-inspiring space, there's this rekindling of sense of wonder that can happen, and reconnection with the cycle of things, that there's such thing as cycles. The things are repeating itself like a hero's journey over and over and over in a way. So, and curiosity and asking bigger questions beyond what do I do to survive today is an opportunity for all of us to grow, all of us to actually heal, and for all of us to connect with one another at a much deeper place. And frequencies wise, we get to connect at a very different level. So it's a wonderful time to be in this. I wonder what this was like for my great, 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 parents or my ancestors. What was it like for them? Wonder about things like that. Okay. And when we are in this waxing moon phase that we're in, and as we head towards the quarter moon, which is that, like I said, the half of the moon is lit, this is when we are experiencing quite a bit of duality and paradox. So I will talk about that a little bit later here. But this past couple of days, even through the solar flares that we had over the weekend onto here, some of you, and I've noticed this in myself, but there's been kind of like a response that might be a little overreactive, okay? Blowing things out of proportion and exaggeration might be happening to some of you. It was certainly happening to me, just, I felt like I was like responding. I wasn't even reacting. It's not a reaction. It's like I think about it and then I'm responding with kind of a blown out of proportion kind of a way of responding to things. Okay. And reacting to things. So if you notice things like that come up, some of that isn't just the moon's influences of waxing the light back onto the moon, but it's definitely the solar flares have the impact on that kind of the hot heat burning hot pokerish kind of a reaction or response. So if that did happen to you, you're not alone. And this is just a total side note, but the quarter moon time, so the waxing moon period, usually the moon rises around noon and sets around midnight. So this is a really great time once again to step outside at night and do moon gazing. Okay, this is a wonderful time when the waxing moon is happening. It's the best time to gaze at the moon. Okay. So another thing about what's been happening this year with the multiple solar flares that we've already had and this moon cycle as well, but time isn't slowing down. Okay. I'm sure you've noticed that this might be the fastest moving year ever in your history of your life on this earth this time. And it isn't going to slow down. I am not sensing things slowing down till at least about July. So be ready to take actions. Like don't sit around, wait around, maybe next month. Well, next month is going to come and go really, really fast because time isn't slowing down. I can't really explain it, but I think most of us are feeling this, right? It's just this, just something isn't quite the speed that we're used to. Okay. So make sure that you spend some time tonight into tomorrow and then probably rest of this week thinking about how do I take actions? Okay. Action oriented first quarter moon. That's this. Okay. It's coming up tomorrow on Wednesday. And you are called to action right now. You're not being asked to slow down. You're not actually being asked to do nothing. That is not what this quarter moon is about. It is all about, are you getting going? Are you doing this? And this can, if you can get going on things, you can start taking actions, whether that's your health, finance, relationships, maybe moving, starting a new job, whatever that may be. Take actions because this will bring many, many positive energetic shifts in you. It's very supported because the movements are kind of pushing you from the back towards the front. So there's like a forward motion that you can naturally ride on. So, I hope you can pause and think about that. Like, what can I do? What have I been doing that I can do a little bit more of? It's a great time to dare to step beyond your familiar boundaries and familiar steps and take things and do things that are just slightly uncomfortable even, but something that you've been wanting to do. So take risks, be innovative. Don't wait around because this year is going to fly by. It really is already. I cannot believe that it's almost, okay, May is halfway over. Okay. So next time I record the full moon video, we're already into June. So we really need to be paying attention to not into June yet, but by the time the moon cycles go into the waning moon, it's going to be in June. So it's really, really fast. But be careful not to, it's good to take actions, but don't blow things out of proportion. Okay. It doesn't need to be. You don't need to be extremely fearful. You don't need to be extremely angry. You don't need to be extremely doubting yourself. Okay. You may still doubt yourself, but you don't need to fuel that with the solar energy on top of it. And think about what your dream is. I was asking Chris, what is your dream? What is something that you desire, that you envision? And that kind of led us to conversations that got a little bit more uncomfortable and a little bit more uncomfortable over the weekend between us. But it's really important that we are checking back into your own desires and not lose sight of that desires because every day is too busy and every day it's got something you have to do to survive. Because remember, the word desire is the star that you're reaching for. That is the translation. That is the origin of the word desire, is the star that you're reaching for. So keep reaching for that and do that with the action steps. That's the waxing moon. That is the moon phase that we're in right now. We're adding light. That means adding actions. Okay. Chris, you have anything to add here? Speaking of adding.
Well, I think the actions part is something that you might find that this is something that shows up in really mundane everyday details, and it's to me that this time is really an invitation to be able to just be alive in whatever is showing up. I'll give you an example. We've the last couple of days we've gone out into our garden in the afternoons, and yesterday we ended up being out there working until after the sun went down, and it was almost dark by the time we came inside. And we were really physically tired, and we certainly are feeling it today. But I have to say that it just felt like we were playing, even though it was a lot of hard physical work to go and do that. And part of that is just to be with whatever task is there for you to do. It doesn't have to be something that you want or you're looking forward to. You can still have that same kind of experience even in the midst of something that's just a chore, if you make it a chore. Okay, but you can also have it be something that is playful and fun and enjoyable if you give it that energy.
Yeah. And let me go into just a little bit more about this waxing moon and the adding the light. So when you're adding the light, and if you look at the moon cycles, you can see that the light is being added to the right side of the moon if you look at from the Earth vantage point, right? So that same kind of reflection is going to be happening to you as well. So you want to pay attention to the right side of your body. So that's generally the yang side of the body. That is the more of the action taking side of the body. So pay attention to what's happening to your right foot. What's so fascinating about my body is that my right foot was bothering me. And last night, my right arm, my right pectoral muscles were bothering me from doing lots of gardening work. But also this afternoon, I was doing some interviews and things like that. And after that, my right sciatica just started to really kick in. And I thought, oh, here we go. So, I have an old injury that I have actually fractured my tailbone when I was 18. So that side always bothers me on my right side, but I had not felt that sciatic nerve kick in till most recently today. Basically, I have not had that for several years. So I thought, okay, there's this balance, right? So I'm saying start taking actions, but the point is that when you're in the quarter moon, which is the half moon, you're shown two things. It's like this need for taking actions, but when are you going to say enough is enough and balance it out with the rest? So I think I was being told and taught by the moon. It's like, hey, you overdid it. Overly enthusiastically worked on it. And now you have to address your sciatica. So definitely I'm working on that. And just a side note, if you do struggle with sciatic pain, usually, I mean, that's the nerve pain, obviously. So your posture matters, your lower back matters. Your psoas is also very important. Bottom of the feet, the arches are very important too. But also in the supplement world, B6 and B1 tend to be low, or you use those B vitamins a lot if you have nerve pain, especially things like sciatic pain. So using B6, B1, and also some of the proteolytic enzymes can be really, really helpful. It's the one that we did the video on. It's called Intenzyme Forte from Biotics. That's a really good one. If it's a Zorix, it's the 8 times pancreatin, or 8x pancreatin. So that would be really, really good. All right, and then let me go into the quarter moon, and this is the Leo too. So I will talk a little bit about the Leo too. But quarter moon is, like I said, it's kind of a duality. You have to hold your duality at the same time, your right side, left side, your past, your future, and you stand in the middle kind of a thing. And so it's really important that you find ways to walk on that middle way practice. What is middle way to you? Because we can get very split. You can do one too much and not enough of the other, or you start to choose one or the other and you can't hold both. So, and both kind of idea. That's the middle way. So, even when you're doing the breath work, one of the breath works that's really, really good is to balance your inhales and your exhales. And the breathing technique that I really like during the quarter moon is to do square breathing. So because this is the first quarter moon, I would always start with the inhale. So inhale for 4 counts. Then you hold for 4 counts. Then you breathe out, exhaling for 4 counts. Then you pause for 4 counts. and then you inhale again for 4, and so on and so forth. So this square breathing is really great for balancing duality, balancing paradoxes, maybe be able to see paradoxes and not judge, and to balance your own internal being as well. That's really good to do square breathing. And square breathing, it's great for stress reduction, balancing energies, increase mental clarity, and manage reactivity and impulses, or like over exaggerations or under expressing those kind of things as well. And overall gives you this positive effect on your body, mind, and spirit. So it's a really nice kind of a breathing to do during the first and the last two, but particularly the first quarter moon. Start with your inhale. And middle way, I know Chris will have a couple of things to say here too. But let me talk a little bit about paradoxes, because I love talking about paradoxes, as you know. So when you're born East and West, and being half this and half that, kind of, you just end up living in the in between middle way somehow all the time. But so paradoxes are sometimes like you get conflicted between your desires and desires that you have, your dreams that you have, but the needs of this moment, what needs to be done right now. So you kind of feel this tension between, I want to do that, but oh, I need to do this. Okay. The wants and the need, the tension between those two things. You're going to be walking right in the middle of that, and you're going to feel it. So don't fight it, but become aware of it. Don't lose your desires, but also you can't neglect the needs either. And you're going to be struggling with the tension of soul and your spirit also. So soul is something that is housed by your body, your physical body. Your biology and physiology are what is hosting and housing your soul. So basically, the soul wants to bring heaven downward and bring it down to more of a descending energy towards the earth. The soul wants to experience the heaven on earth. Okay. So the home of the soul is here and now and on this earthly matter. But the spirit's desire is to always want to return towards the ascension, towards the heavens, towards the ether, towards more of the upward and outward kind of energy. So it's not good or bad. It's just when you go too much on one side or the other, this kind of a moon phase is going to let you know. Okay. The moon phase that we're in right now, especially tomorrow on Wednesday during that first quarter moon, it's going to show you, hey, you really need to be balancing this, because if you're doing too much of the ascension based practices, the body's going to ask you to do more of, how do you descend? How do you come back down? How do you ground yourself? Right. So if you're always doing, let's say, meditation that is guided meditation that takes you out of your body, that takes you into different realms and colors and sensations that's outside of your body, and you love that kind of meditation, guided meditation, that's all you've been doing, then this is the time that you got to balance it out with some of the different kind of meditations that's maybe a little bit more like yoga nidra per se, right? Things like you use your hands. It's the kind of meditations that it's more of a somatic based practice of meditation. So that's what it is to hold these two kinds of meditations, or two ways of looking at life. It's not this is better or this is worse. It's just there's a time for both, but especially during the quarter moon, it's important that you balance these two things. So it's looking at life from, there's an ordinary needs, but within the ordinariness of life, you find moments of extraordinary, right? And then you celebrate the extraordinary, but you don't get completely stuck in extraordinary and reach for that over and over and over. I have clients who are just chasing light and chasing these experiences over and over and over, and signing up for this retreat and this kind of mushroom eating retreats and this kind of a, what do you call that other thing? I can't remember. Chris, maybe you can help me.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan, just so you know, everyone. People's gut is so not ready to be consuming things like that. But, so I have people that I know that are just chasing after that, and not enough groundedness practice of just like, hey, what about taking care of your liver? Hey, what about like not eat horrible foods like you're eating every day, instead of signing up for more of this, right? So it's that don't chase the extraordinary, but know the extraordinary exists in every moment too, right? So it's the old Sufi saying, right? Trust in God, but tie your camel too, right? Trust in God, but tie your camel. So it's kind of that's the tension that I think we're all feeling. And if you are feeling things on your right side, certainly take care of your right side of the body, but also maybe stand on your left. Because I started noticing, I'm like, why am I standing on my right foot so much? Did I tell you, Chris? Maybe I didn't tell you, but I was like cooking with my right foot side and I was doing everything leaning on my right side. And I thought, this is not good. This is not a good balance for me. So I've been slowly adjusting my body. So, we all feel that tension. We all struggle. We do struggle with the conflicting feelings inside us because we have soul and spirit in us. It's not good or bad. We are suspended between those two things. That's what human experience is, right? Human experience isn't just about the spirit experience. It's not just the spiritual beings having a human experience, but I've always said microbes having a human experience too. So it's also both and both. So those are some of the things that I definitely wanted to say. It's the heavenly domain and the earthly matter balanced together. It's the seen and the unseen. It's the mysticism and science. And, how do you walk the line of the middle way? And I'll read a couple of quotes that really emphasizes these paradoxes right now, and I'll hand it over to Chris. So the first one was that Sufi's saying, like I just said about the camel, trust in God, but tie your camel. The other one, the Gandhi said was, whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it, right? That is truly this quarter moon. I mean, that quote just makes me buzz, that just all throughout my spine, because that just basically states what this quarter moon is all about, especially in Leo, because Leo has this energy of like a roaring, outgoing, shining, showing Leo's beauty. And Leo loves to just show their gratitudes and very loving, but the moon also has the yin side of that comes in that says, okay, that's fine. But this is also inner roaring time. It's not external only. What are you saying to inner self to make yourself move into actions? So some of the cheerleading, internal cheerleading has to be happening right now too. So let me read Gandhi's quote again. So whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it. And this next one is posted on my kitchen cabinet as well. I have a lot of quotes posted in my kitchen so that I can look at it every morning when I'm getting my cup of coffee or tea. So this is a Suzuki Roshi. He's the main guy that really started the Zen practice in the United States. He said, each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can use a little improvement. So I always keep that in my mind, each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can use a little improvement. And I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but A Tale of Two Cities with Charles Dickens, right? That's where we're at, right? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, right? That's kind of where we're at, right? It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. That's kind of the energy that we're feeling all across the globe, as well as within ourselves. And I was going to, let me read one more and then I'll hand it over to Chris. But this is the Kierkegaard quote. He says, life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forwards. Life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forwards. So that's the tension. Can you feel that tension? That's where you're at. Okay. So that tension requires you to stay strong within yourself. That tension requires you to stay flexible. That tension requires you to be hydrated. That tension requires you to stand up straight and strong, but at the same time, grounded and rooted and expansive. So find ways to really kind of play with the field that we're in right now. Okay. So I'll hand it over to Chris for a moment here.
All right. And if you have anything you want to throw at me in terms of questions or anything, Masami, do that because I don't have prepared comments here. But just going off of what the theme is with the quarter moon and this whole learning about the lunar cycles, I wanted to just share something that for me is really significant and stands out. And I've really learned this from Masami. But the moon cycles are really a movement from empty to full, and then from full to empty again. And so this whole movement is something we experience it. You've if you've taken some of our other programs, you've seen us make this movement of the infinity sign, of this back and forth from empty to full, back and forth, back and forth. And so this quarter moon time is really an opportunity to pay attention to, I mean, we like to think of things in terms of balance, but nothing is balanced in terms of like a tightrope walker who's maintaining this. It's not even a rigid balance. That's a dynamic balance. Maybe the kind of balance we think of as stacking rocks on each other and being still. But even those are moving. They're moving with the wind and the movement of the earth. So for me, this time is about recognizing the conditions that are here right now. This is the middle way aspect, recognizing the conditions that are here right now and not fighting them. It's really about looking at not what do I want, not what do I prefer were the case instead of what's here, but really just what is here. How can I be with what is here? Because you already are. I mean, it's in a way, it doesn't take any special effort to do this other than to let go of the other ideas. And all of those ideas about what you would like or what you're hoping for or worrying about what might come next, those are all just ideas anyway. Not that they're not important in some respect to how you think of your life, but if you really break it down, this middle way idea is just that simple. It's just to let go of the ideas about what's not here yet or what you would like to have be here instead, and just be here with what's here now. And that breathing practice that Masami introduced, if nothing else, because she also mentioned this flow of time, which can really feel like it's accelerating, especially as we get older. And so the breath work and doing something like the square breathing is really an opportunity to slow down and take a break and pause and interrupt that flow that seems like it's just carrying us away. So time spent with that is well worth it because you can feel this kind of recharge, reset feeling that comes about when you do that pause. In fact, one of my favorite descriptions of meditative practice is from Inayat Khan, who described meditation as mystical relaxation. And I liked that phrase, mystical relaxation, because that's actually what I'm talking about being with what's here now. That's really the heart of mysticism, is to be here with what is here also now and not distinguish yourself from it. But then the relaxation part is all about having our minds take a rest. We know that our bodies need rest. We know that we have to sleep at night. We have to stop working every once in a while, but we also have to do that with our minds because our minds are really the part of us that taps into the spirit consciously. So it also needs a rest. And so these times that when these moon cycles are so clear, like the quarter moon, this balancing between the dark and the light, it's a really good time to just sit with that. And remember, this is a great reminder to just pause and look at the balance of things. It's moving, it's always moving, and it is balanced, even when it doesn't seem like it is. We can't see the whole cycle of balance. That's the problem. That's why we feel anxious about it, is we don't have access to the whole big picture. We just have our little piece of it. So,
Chris, do you
one
want
la-
to take us through the square breathing? Maybe let's
sure,
just do two rounds
sure,
of
we
it. I
can
think
do
it'd
that.
be
Yeah,
really, really good.
I'll say
Yeah.
one last thing and then let's do that. This is a little saying that I tell myself. I've shared it with one of our small groups that we've worked with before, but I don't know when I started doing this, but I just started telling myself because I would feel the anxiety creep up when I did all those things I just described, which is worrying about the future and what's next and what do I not like about this situation? Oh, I wish it was different, all of those kinds of things. I started telling myself, not what if, but what is. So not what if, but what is. And all that means is stop saying, well, what if I had this? And what if this was different? And what if? That's really where so much of our anxiety and worry comes from, is that sort of runaway speculation about what might be different if only. So let's just focus on what's here and work from that. And you'll find immediately, as soon as you can do that, your level of anxiety will come way down, but also your ability to actually see more of what's here will also increase much more than you probably imagine possible. So with that, let's do the square breathing. It's a very, very easy practice. I put it into the chat if you need the verbal reminder, but Masami described it once. So let's just do it together. We'll start with the inhale, and remember, it's four counts with each one. And if you can feel your heartbeat, that's actually an even more connected way to do this. So you might find your pulse on your wrist, just behind that little bump on your wrist, or you might find it in just below your jaw, kind of drop down into that little hollow in your neck. Those are two of the best places to feel a pulse. But doing any kind of breathing practice with your heartbeat really connects the body with the spirit, the mind, the heart, everything. It really brings it together. So whatever that count of 4 is, I'm not going to say it out loud. You do your own, and we'll do it about the same speed. Okay. So let's just start with an inhale for 4, and then we'll hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold again for 4. And let's do, what do you think, Masami? 3 cycles of that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Just for time's sake. Okay, I think we can do that. All right. So just at your own pace, we're going to inhale for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, exhale for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, inhale for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, exhale for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats. Now on your own. Okay. I'm curious. That wasn't a meditation exactly, just a breathing exercise, but I'm just curious. You can put it in the chat. Did you notice any changes just by doing that small interruption to your habitual way of thinking and breathing? Did you notice anything? I'm curious to hear if anyone did.
Chris, what's funny is there's one moment I was like, oh, I forgot to pause. Just kind of laughed at myself. I'm like, that is so me. Like I forget to pause. It's like, oh, next inhale. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to pause after the exhale. So got back into it again. So that just tells me the state of mind that I'm in and I need to pause. That's
Yeah.
the key point of that square breathing.
Well,
So
and something that we've noticed in our own communications with each other is that we're so distracted by so many things that we know that we can be in the same room hearing each other and hearing the words that are being spoken and not taking anything that was just said. And so we've had to really start to train ourselves and each other to say, hang on, did you listen to what I just said? Could you actually repeat back to me what I just said to you? Or were you just saying, yeah, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh? Because we do that so easily. And this kind of a practice with breathing actually somewhat forces you to pay attention in a different way and to start exercising a little focus and concentration. So it's really good for that. So a couple of the comments, let's see, we have, yes, it cleared my head and I'm warmer, so relaxing, and I'm outside looking at the moon. Yes, dropped right in.
mm, nice. Yeah, I could feel that. Everybody's energetic fields shifted. That was lovely. Thank you for taking us through that, Chris. And I wanted to mention, like in a quarter moon is a great time to notice where you're getting stuck. So sometimes we get stuck in this either or model, right? I think the society is like that. It's either you're a winner or you're a loser, or you're either right or left, you're up or down, you're either old or young, that kind of a thinking. So we can get stuck in this inner drought versus inner drowning. Okay. We could be drowning in you inside in sorrow or indulgence or worries or fear, or you could be inner drought. You're dried up, nothing left. It's just ground and nothing grows. And we don't want to be either of those places, okay? Because you don't want to be drowning in this water that is basically so high, so wet that you can't do anything with. You're drowning in it. You're overwhelmed by it. Or you're in inner drought where you've lost your dreams, you've lost your desires, you don't care to really find any communities to connect with, to be supported or to support. So, it's not either or. And this all or nothing kind of idea has hurt us a lot. And it's continuing to hurt our politics as well, all over the world as well. So pay attention to just the right amount. It's just the right temperature of the soup, right temperature of the bed, warmth, right temperature or right size of the chair, those kind of things. That's kind of what we're all Goldilocks, we're looking for that, but find it within you, especially during this moon phase. It's a beautiful time. Most people don't ever talk about the quarter moons, first or the last, because it just kind of gets skipped over. But to me, it's one of the most important times in the moon cycles to check back in to yourself. Okay. And on a side note, everybody, I'm going to put a little link here that the Moon Wisdom Masterclass that I taught last month in April. I'm going to do a $50 off on the coupon of I think listed price is $197, so it's $50 off of it. And the coupon code, Chris, is it May 50?
Yes.
So you can, I don't know, is it all capital? Is it
It's all
lowercase?
capital. I can put that in
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want me to do
So
that.
don't look at the one I put. Okay. But it's $50 off. I'm putting it up there because I would love to hear from many of you that have taken this course. I'd love for you to say a couple things about what you thought about that masterclass. But I literally felt like it's like a culmination of all my work coming together for the first time in a public forum. The 5 years of researching the moon, kind of finally I put it out there to the public, and it was really, really amazing. So I would love for those of you that did not take the class to please take it. It's amazing. I am so proud of myself for creating that and how much I shared in that course for menopause and beyond. And I think it's like a 4.5 hour class. So, it's packed full of amazing information and a lot of different bonuses that we put it on the masterclass as well as other videos and things you can watch. So I wanted to mention that too. And Chris, and if anybody have any thoughts, questions, please let me know. And I will mention a little bit about the Leo energy and we'll wrap up. But if you have any questions, thoughts, put it up there. And let's see. So while you are commenting on that, the Leo energy, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but the Leo is very generous, like this outward roaring energy, and really massive heart that the Leo energy holds. But we cannot look at the moon signs the same way. And this is not an individual message either. When the moon is in Leo, it's impacting all of us. All of us are sharing the same energetic field. It's that oneness that we're tapping into. So when the moon is in that Leo energy, our generosity that you've been giving and giving and giving to others can feel a little bit exhausting to some of you. Okay. And then you may notice a sense of like, I just cannot be any more generous anymore. I'm not quite sure I can keep giving anymore. And you might bump up against that feeling of, I can't take the shirt off of my back over and over, while I'm shivering, while I am not being taken care of. So some of the frustrations and anger may rise up. And that's what's going to come out as, you roar at them, you get angry at others in that kind of a reactive ways. So that can show up during this Leo moon phase. And we've been in the Leo moon phase for the last couple of days. So, you might be noticing some of that. And so the generous mind, generous heart, such a giving kind of energy that gets a little bit blocked off if you've been doing too much of that. So here comes the inner drought versus inner drowning, right? So how do we balance that so that you can have a beautiful flower garden that things will grow without getting too wet or too dried up? But the Leo has this also energy of self-confidence generally. But when the Leo is in the moon, it semi flips on you. Okay. This is the part that the most people are not quite understanding about the moon's impact on our zodiac signs or what's happening collectively. So Leo has this confidence generally, but when the moon is in Leo, it challenges that confidence. And you can move past it. You can coach yourself. You can have an inner cheerleader, like I said, but your self doubt can kick up and self doubt can get really louder and louder. So you may just need to pause and say, okay, that is the influence that I'm under. And some of my negative talk that I'm having to myself, negative things that I'm saying to myself are not actually real. This is not true. I just need to let this phase pass so that I can reconnect to my own inner knowing confidence space. So I have passion and compassion for who you are. Okay. And, speaking of passion, Leo is a very passionate sign, but you can get overly, is that the word, zealous, right, in your own mission. So I had a person that was emailing me for the last several days during this Leo energy leading up to it too, that was passionately telling me about this particular supplement. Okay. And I was just like, that's great. I'm glad for you, but I really don't have the time or the energy right now to be looking at it and addressing that. And so I had to really draw a line and say, enough is enough. Like, just please don't, bombard my email with your opinions about this. So passion can be really important at times, but around this time when the moon is in Leo, you have to be careful about how much of your message is coming out as too much of like fire, okay, and too passionate that you can end up pushing people away, okay. Your opinions or stubbornness can really, really get emphasized here too. So that's also a trait of Leo, right? They can be very stubborn, and stubbornness is not good or bad. I mean, it's both, okay, but it can tip over to one side or the other. So find ways to receive love also during this time, so you're not always giving. Don't just be generous to others, but be generous to yourself. Be generous with your sleep. Be generous with your own nutrition. Be generous with giving yourself positive feedbacks, right? Things that will fuel you in the next coming week of the waxing moon until the full moon, because we need that energy to build up and build up and build up. So, for those of you that have taken my moon wisdom class course, that this is the building and building, building. This is the one that's absorbing and moving up and out time. So you really want to be feeding that energy while you're going through this. Okay. All right. So any questions?
Masami, really quick. You mentioned several things that were sort of like this holding of opposites, and it becomes paradoxical, or feels that way at times, where it seems like these things can't coexist. And it just reminded me of some of the Sufi teachings around generosity. One of them comes from my teacher, who, what he says, this is a really difficult practice, but I'm going to mention it here. And that is, whatever it is you feel that you need, give that to others. So what you need, give. It's a very challenging practice, but that's really a way to practice generosity. Because when we think of generosity, we think of sharing what we have too much of. That's a very common idea that we have in our culture today. But there are many much more well well-weathered and tested definitions of generosity like that one that can really serve us much better than just trying to, it's not really generosity if you're just giving your old jeans to the Goodwill. I mean, it's one step away from throwing it away and you just don't want to put it in the trash. That's not really generosity. But another one that comes from the Sufi tradition is that the true generosity is sharing what you also need. So there are two sides to this. There's what you need, give that to others. And by giving it, you'll find it for yourself. And then the other side of that coin is that you share what you also need. And that's also a hard practice. But I wanted to just mention those because they fit in really well with this Leo energy that you're talking about. And this is wisdom that has been shared for millennia, and we might as well keep it going. So take that into this half moon, this quarter moon. Okay, we have a bunch of comments now, so let's
Okay.
take a look at those.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll read that and then we'll get going.
Yes.
So,
Okay, I'm going to back up. Lynn
Steve.
was responding. Wait, okay, hold on. I think
Oh,
our
mhm.
sound is going over each other, and you're freezing a little bit, so that might mean I'm freezing too.
Yeah, you are too. So,
Okay, do you want to do the comments?
yeah. So, Lynn, it really was amazing. Oh, thank you, Lynn. So informative. Oh, I'm glad. Steve, I was really thrilled with your video describing the supplements. Oh, yes. Thank you. I mean, please watch that. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks. You're welcome. I'm 72 and retired now for 7 years. I needed Masami's and Chris's help since that transition was hard to adjust to. I have been helped with their supplement suggestions, most certainly. Have been taking them many years and trying and slipping on what I eat. But no, you're trying, but I'm going forward. Is the discount still available for the biotics at the Zorex? Oh, and the Zorex. So it's not the Zorex, but the Fullscript. Yeah, it's 20% off right now. That's a great discount. And I load up. I like having a spare bottle of all my supplements, and the discount saves me much. Well, I'm glad. Thanks so much. That was great. You're welcome. Keep up the excellent work, you two. I don't need to search for other sources for help and information. You two are the only ones as far as I'm concerned. Well, thank you. Amen. Yes, I know it's the generosity thing that Sharon's saying. Amen too. Yeah. It's a tough lesson, but I think that's a really good, in a way, paradox that we're holding right now in our heart centers. Thank you. Sorry, I have to go. I know we will be going to blessings and gratitude to both of you all. Yes, sign up and enjoy at your pace the Moon Wisdom course. Okay. Oh, thank you for commenting. Yes, Lonnie, you took the course. So it's very full, lots of note taking. I've taken many of these courses from Masami and Chris, very helpful and resonant at every time they offer. Love them. We love you too. And Cheryl says, wonderful insight on the phase of the moon. Yes. So every phase has its own, information and the wisdom that it's sharing. And then also which zodiac sign it's landing on, that's also very important. So be generous to your own heart as well. Don't forget to feed your heart so you don't create a drought situation inside you, but you don't drown in it, becomes way too much. So it's that nice balance. Where are you today? It's bio individual. You will have to decide what that balance is all about. But remember that the balance is dynamic too. So it's that figure eight. It's not all or nothing. It's always in motion. It's always moving. Life is always in motion. Without that motion, our fascia will lock up. Without that movement, our posture will shrivel up. So check in with your posture as well, making sure that you're not sitting too long. And you're, once in a while, look up to the sky and be awe with what's going on. More solar flares to come, more probably aurora, or say the other part of the word,
Borealis.
borealis to come. So look up into the sky. It's about really time, isn't it? That our human beings have somewhat lost the beauty of looking up into the darkness of the sky. And talk to your neighbors and see if you could create a neighborhood that is honoring the darkness a little bit more, allowing the street lights to face down so you get to look up without having that light come and impact your eyesight. There are a lot of things that you can get involved in. This is the time that we can help the migration of the butterflies and the hummingbirds and the insects and other animals that are needing that darkness. They need the moonlight. They are relying on that first quarter moon so they can guide themselves to where they need to go to. Just as our hearts need that, just as our own physiology, mitochondria, our spirits and our soul need that. So look for that, look for communities that are supporting that kind of a movements around you. All right. And couple more comments. Chris, can you read that? And then let's finish.
All right. So let's see. We have, okay, I think it's from Mary. Under tornado warning here. So listening from the closet. Love you. Well, we wish you the best, Mary.
My
That's
goodness,
we've been
Mary. I will
having
text you later. Yeah.
a whole lot of weather disruptions over in South Carolina. Okay. This next one is I'm looking forward to learning more about the moon and all the knowledge you're willing to share. I'm glad you've come into my life here recently. Love what I'm hearing and how connected you are and what I've noticed since making the connections that you mentioned.
Great.
And
Great.
I just wanted, Masami, I'll close it off with this. There's one, it came to me in a direct message from Colleen, and she just said, thank you both, as always, a wealth of info and love the discount. Um, and then I was just looking at my extended screen and I was seeing this quote from Elias that was just sort of peeking out from behind something, and it really fits with what we're talking about here. So if I can close with this, it's one of his flashes. So this is from my teacher, and I'll put it in the chat so you can read it. But it really fits with this theme of the balance and the generosity that Masami was talking about today. So does that sound good?
Yes. And then before you read that, can I just say one thing to Pauline that's here?
Oh, yes.
Pauline was so generous in offering her beautiful home so that we can visit and have a vacation that we have not taken. We actually really haven't taken a vacation since before COVID, and we haven't even flown. And we were able to go and use her summer home in a beautiful Portland, and we were able to stay there and enjoy. And we went to see the ocean and everything. So for my birthday. So thank you so much for your generosity, and I fully received it, and it was wonderful to be on the receiving end of all this too. So thank you so much. I just wanted to say that because I saw you there.
Yes. Amen to that. And thank you from me as well, Pauline. It was really, really wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, this quote will actually tie this off really nicely. Okay, so this is from my teacher, and he says, to be held in love is all we want. To hold in love is why we're here. I'll read that one more time. To be held in love is all we want. To hold in love is why we're here. So that's a little reminder of the kind of generosity each of us can bring into this world.
Wow. Wow. That was amazing. So Pure Elias is Chris's teacher. So, wow. And Pauline, that's in the book that we gifted you with. So somewhere in there. All right. Thank you, everyone. Oh, wow. Thank you, Chris, for ending it with that. We look forward to seeing you again soon. I will just sometimes do spontaneous calls like this. So love to be in this space together live. There's something so magical about all this. So thank you for being here tonight. Namaste, everyone.